Can you believe that in China, all women over 27 years old are considered surplus women, looked down upon by society? Traditionally, marriage and family have been highly valued as they represent social stability, but nowadays, more and more women are unwilling to marry and have children. The reasons range from fear of sacrificing for their husbands and children, to China's deadly policies set forth by Mao, the risk of domestic violence, and more. This has led to a demographic crisis in China, prompting the country to implement many policies to promote marriage. Let's explore the 15 deadly issues that single women in China are facing. Number 15. Chinese women are indifferent to marriage. According to official data, China's single population over 15 years old reached a record 239 million people in 2021. The 2021 survey found that among approximately 2,900 unmarried urban youths, 44% of women expressed their intention to remain single for life. Only 6.8 million couples got married in 2022, the lowest number since dating was encouraged in 1986. Many online communities have been established to help women who prefer single lifestyles find like-minded friends. Posts with hashtags like "No Marriage, No Children" by influential women on social media often receive thousands of likes. On another social media platform, a topic supporting the trend of remaining single has attracted 9,200 members. A forum dedicated to singlehood has 3,600 members, mainly discussing collective retirement plans and other topics. According to China's Ministry of Civil Affairs, the highest number of marriages in the country occurred in the past decade. At that time, men and women fulfilled their traditional roles of getting married and having children. However, today's young people seek love and personal satisfaction, making it increasingly difficult to marry and choose compatible partners. Number 14. Marriage crisis in China. China's population is aging at an astonishing rate, coupled with declining marriage and birth rates, resulting in a demographic crisis. Unlike Western countries like the United States, there is a deep connection between marriage and birth rates in China. For Chinese people, a single woman having a child is a significant issue, primarily because unmarried Chinese women with small children cannot register with the system to access healthcare and education in China. China's birth rate has not increased since 2015. The birth rate was 1.67 births per woman, which has now decreased to only 1.2 births per woman. China is concerned about this because, by 2050, it is predicted that half of China's population will consist of elderly people who cannot contribute much to the workforce. Even today, marriage promotion campaigns in China are so intense that you'll find advertisements everywhere claiming that a bride living a happy life requires marriage and children. They also advertise that for a woman to be happy, she needs to get married and have children. The idea that a woman, no matter how successful in her career, will always feel empty unless she has children is being loudly promoted in China today. However, women who pursue their dreams and goals despite discrimination are on the rise. As a result, the number of single women in China is increasing exponentially, especially in cities like Beijing and Shanghai, where many successful unmarried women are changing policies. Number 13. Risk of domestic violence. Because of the deeply ingrained tradition of male superiority over women, many Chinese men consider themselves superior to their wives, leading to domestic violence. Especially if women do not work, they are very likely to face violence. For example, a husband verbally abused his wife for 3 hours shortly after she gave birth. This happened in H Province, eastern China on April 6, 2023. The husband continuously berated his wife with harsh words like, "What's there to cry about? Stop crying, you idiot!" and even threatened the woman's life. Earlier, the wife had just undergone a cesarean section. The reason behind the verbal abuse was that the wife forgot to tell the doctor that she had no breast milk, meaning she couldn't breastfeed the child, leading to the doctor inadvertently stimulating milk secretion. More than 90 million married women in China often face domestic violence. On average, about 157,000 women commit suicide each year, making the country one of the few with a higher female suicide rate than male. Of those, 60% commit suicide due to domestic violence. This widespread issue in China makes many women afraid of getting married or having children. Number 12. Matchmaking markets in China. Have you ever heard of the concept of matchmaking markets in China? If you haven't, the issue of women in this country not wanting to marry has become so widespread that many parents have to display their children at these markets to find a spouse for them. An example of this can be seen in central Beijing, where parents often visit a matchmaking market called Zhongshan Park to fulfill the mission of finding the perfect spouse for their children. In Guangxi, there are also parents participating in these markets to find partners for their children. Many fathers and mothers in Gui spend hours browsing through information about single people printed on paper, hoping to find a spouse for their children. In these matchmaking events, very few young people participate. Parents constantly visit these markets to advertise their children, similar to a market, in order to attract potential partners for their offspring. Most of these advertisements are for women looking to get married. Chinese parents complain that their children are very picky in choosing partners and set unrealistic standards for their spouses. This is why the marriage rate in China has plummeted and the number of single women in China is increasing. According to recent statistics, these women not only demand education but also career opportunities. They want potential spouses to own houses, cars, have ambition, and be tall and handsome. This makes it difficult for seemingly attractive tall men if they don't have stable jobs, savings, or their own homes because they lack a sense of security. What do you think of this matchmaking market in China? Leave your comments below. Number 11. Deadly policies create a highly individualistic generation. It all started in 1949, when China changed its constitution to build a new China as Mao envisioned. Women gradually became part of the workforce. They were seen as strong women. This was especially true when China's population declined due to strange policies. In the late 1970s, China introduced a one-child policy, meaning parents could not have more than one child. This one-child policy is the cause of the declining marriage rate, ultimately resulting in a decline in population. Therefore, all generations are only children in China. They grow up independently because they are the only children in the family, and therefore, they are all more individualistic than previous generations. In any marriage, mutual compromise and understanding of each other's needs are essential. However, these social skills are difficult for people who grew up as only children in families because they find it difficult to acquire social skills like compassion and compromise. Number 10. Leading to gender imbalance. In addition, the one-child policy mentioned above has gradually led to an increase in gender imbalance. Now, the number of women in China has increased significantly due to past gender imbalances. When China implemented the one-child policy in the 1970s, there were a considerable number of abortions because most parents wanted their only child to be a boy rather than a girl. So, they would abort if they found out the baby in the womb was a girl. The consequence of this is that men outnumber women by more than 30 million. According to another statistic in China, there are nearly 475 unmarried men for every 100 unmarried women. In China, however, unbelievably, if there are more men and women have more choices, then why do women choose to remain single? This is because the number of educated women is increasing, and they are facing the possibility of unemployment and economic downturns, which has led women to remain single to pursue their own careers. Number 9. Women must sacrifice for husband and children. In China today, the idea that women must sacrifice for their husbands and children still runs deep in the subconscious of many people. Research shows that Chinese women have to juggle more household chores and childcare than men. Meanwhile, they also have to go out to work. This is no different from doing 2 jobs at once. The burden on the small shoulders of these women is thereby doubled. These women look at the previous generation's tradition of valuing men over women and believe that no matter how extremely successful or ordinary, women still have to sacrifice the most for household chores. Many people who married in the previous generation, especially women, sacrificed themselves in their careers without achieving happiness. Therefore, they don't want to live a life of sacrificing for men or families. When they return home, almost every mother is busy cooking, cleaning, bathing, and feeding their children, all nameless but extremely time-consuming tasks. They have no time for themselves. Meanwhile, playing with children is seen by fathers as helping or sharing to reduce the burden on their wives, rather than considering it the responsibility of a husband. These things easily lead to women becoming depressed after marriage and childbirth, leading to many unfortunate cases. What do you think of the sacrifices of Chinese women? Leave your comments below. Number 8. Fear of living with the husband's family. The traditional family in China consists of multiple generations living together, and marriage will change many things in a woman's life. Usually wives have to move in and live with the husband's family. Relationships with both sides of the family, then relatives and friends change. Living with the husband's family will suffocate and overwhelm women. On the Taiwan News Forum, a girl shared the differences in living habits that made her extremely uncomfortable living with her parents-in-law, even though she had just gotten married. The woman complained that when living with her in-laws did not allow many lights to be turned on at home, often used leftovers from previous meals, and especially saved water. Her in-laws required their children to urinate twice before flushing the toilet. Moreover, with parents often present, couples cannot spend quality time together. In addition, because the house belongs to the parents, it is very difficult to suggest that they give the couple private time. Living with the husband's family is a tradition in many Asian countries. This model inadvertently pushes two women, the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law, into an unwanted battle under one roof. This makes women more tired because they cannot live their own lives. The fear of living with the husband's family is also the reason why they hesitate to marry and want to find a man with a stable house and finances. Number 7. Due to the poor economy in China. One of the reasons why women choose to remain single is due to the poor economic conditions in China, such as the real estate sector. Buying a house here is extremely difficult, and even today, many young people rely entirely on their parents. Young people in China often have to share rooms with strangers to afford living in major cities like Shanghai and Beijing. Even though the one-child policy officially ended in 2015, the birth rate continues to decline in China. According to the National Bureau of Statistics of China in 2012, there were 16 million births in China. However, if you look at that number a decade later in 2022, you will see that it has dropped to 10 million. Currently, young people in China are experiencing what's known as the Moonlight Clan phenomenon. China's financial situation is also in decline, which is why many young people are unemployed. Most young people in China live on their salaries and have no savings. The term Moonlight Clan was first used in the early 2000s in China to describe young people who spend all their monthly earnings instead of saving like their parents, often borrowing money to meet their own needs. According to state television CCTV, the Moonlight Clan is becoming a powerful force in China's economy, with an estimated 40% of singles living a lavish lifestyle without worrying about savings. This makes pursuing a dating life very difficult. How can they afford expenses for a partner or children if they can't even cover their own daily activities? The Moonlight Clan phenomenon among young people involves high rental costs and living expenses. This poses significant obstacles to finding a romantic partner. Young people tend to enjoy more than strive for their future goals, like marriage or having children, so a man who lacks financial capability will not be able to marry a woman in China. Number 6. Busy lives of women. Another major reason for the increasing number of single women in China is their busy work lives. Today, China is considered one of the leading economic nations and has become a major global exporter. However, the work-life balance for people here is very poor. For example, Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, taught young people that if they want to succeed, they must work at least 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. The principle, known as 996, means people should work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. This means people don't have time for anything else like finding a partner if they're too focused on their careers and jobs. As a result of this culture, the marriage rate has decreased in China. Finding love in China is particularly difficult for young people due to their financial conditions and work-life balance. What do you think about this work culture in China? Life shouldn't just be about work, right? Number 5. Men's patriarchal ideology. Many women cite key factors that lead them to decide to remain single and childless, including self-exploration, disillusionment with the patriarchal nature of Chinese men, and the lack of worthy partners. The patriarchal mindset of men is another reason why women in China want to remain single, as they have moved past traditional gender roles and stereotypes. Most men in China's social system are uncomfortable with women earning more than them. They believe that men in Chinese society should be the sole providers for their families, while women should stay at home and take care of children. However, women in China today disagree with this view and say that their careers are also important to them. Because of the deep-rooted feudal ideas from ancient times, men in China's social system are uncomfortable with women exceeding traditional standards of Chinese culture, which is why they choose not to marry. As a result, the number of single women in China has increased significantly. Number 4, women prefer short-term relationships. Dating apps in China today have up to 150 million users, providing young people in China with an opportunity to find their lifelong love. However, there is another issue with these dating apps. Although the number of dating app users is increasing, marriages are not. Short-term relationships are sought after more than long-term relationships. Therefore, even though dating apps are quite popular in China, they do not promote marriage. That is why traditional methods like arranged marriages are still common in China. Nowadays, many parents play dating apps in China just to find suitable matches for their daughters. Number 3, too much pressure on men in Chinese society. Not only do women face criticism, but men also face extremely strict gender norms. Men are forced to succeed from a young age and are pressured to be extremely masculine. The concept of masculinity in Chinese culture is defined very differently from its meaning in Western countries. For example, in Western countries, masculinity means a man must have personality traits like seriousness, honesty, and other qualities. On the other hand, in Chinese society, masculinity means a man must be successful and own many material possessions. You won't be considered a real man and won't be able to marry any woman in China if you don't have a lot of money and material possessions. These invisible pressures weigh heavily on men's shoulders, causing many young people to dive into building their careers, afraid to have girlfriends until they have money. This further delays and postpones marriage. What do you think about these pressures on Chinese men? Share your thoughts below. Number 2, women fear childbirth. As I mentioned earlier, Chinese women have gone through the one-child policy era. Both they and their parents' generation were convinced that it's better to have only one child. In the old society, girls were not valued. Girls in rural areas often faced the risk of not being born or being abandoned shortly after birth. Some lucky ones survived, but their parents or relatives always advised them to dedicate themselves to their brothers, the true descendants of the family. Few rural girls go to school, most marry early, and parents use the bride price of their daughters to pay for their sons. Their ultimate fate is to continue the family line by giving birth to sons. Even now, there is a term, leftover women, used to refer to those who refuse to marry before the age of 27. On the internet, phrases like irresponsible single women and you are destroying the future of the nation are used to criticize women who don't have children. This makes women even more reluctant to marry and have children. Many also believe that the risk of damage during pregnancy and childbirth is very high, with each pregnancy significantly reducing a woman's health. Besides, childbirth often leads to job loss. But even after marriage, women are still forced to have 2 to 3 children, one of whom must be a son, and they are also responsible for household chores. Number 1, policies promoting marriage rates in China. China is currently making efforts to address the issues of declining birth rates and increasing numbers of single women. For example, in 2020, the Chinese government extended maternity leave to encourage married women to extend it to 98 days in major cities in China. Additionally, China offers financial incentives to young couples to increase the number of children. These incentives include bonuses, tax breaks, and the government also subsidizes childcare costs or reduces real estate prices. Furthermore, many companies in China provide single women over 30 with an additional 8 days of annual leave, allowing them to go home and find suitable partners. Many companies have also decided to shorten the working hours of employees while still ensuring they earn the same amount of money. Although China has made many efforts to abolish the 996 success principle, what do you think about these policies, and can you think of any better policies to promote marriage rates? Comment below with your opinion. So, we've explored the 15 deadly issues single women in China are facing. What do you think about the facts I've shared above? What do you think women in this country are facing more serious issues? Remember to comment and share your thoughts with me. Thank you for watching our video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with our latest videos. See you in the next video.